Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles, and successes. How they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. We're excited that you decided to be with us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. And today we have an amazing woman to share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. We have Carlotta Taylor here today. Carlotta is a best-selling author and certified speaker and leadership coach. Transferred from multiple foster care homes and shelters because of abuse and neglect, Carlotta learned early on that if she didn't transform her mind, she would be consumed by the chaotic world around her. Carlotta seeks to inspire others to press beyond their breaking point. With 15 years of law enforcement, she knew she had to use her knowledge and wisdom to effect greater change in and around the community. Carlotta is founder of Somebody Step In, a nonprofit for foster children, teens, and young adults. She offers coaching, mentorship, life skills, and more. She's also a best-selling author. Her book is entitled No More Flinching, and it outlines 5 key steps to overcoming adversity. She's also the creator of the talk show, The Heart of the Matter. Welcome, Carlotta, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm so honored and so excited to be on your platform, Melissa. Thank you.
Wow, that's great, Carlotta. You are such a boss girl. You are doing so many things, and your energy just jumps off the page when you're going through your social media and all the many different things that you're doing. But today, I wanted us to just begin at the beginning, because that's really where your journey started as a young child. So share with our audience a little about the beginning.
Wow, that is a really big question, but you're so correct, Melissa. So in my beginning, I remember my first memory of being a child was 2 years old. And at that time, I was living in Southfield, Michigan with my grandparents and my parents, okay? I remember the snow and I remember the Christmas lights. I remember my little onesie suit, and it was red and white. Go figure, okay? That's another conversation right there. And so I just remember the love. I remember the love, and I remember feeling protected. However, in just a few short years, my life would change forever. See, while I was with my grandparents and with my parents, I was protected by my grandparents because they made sure no harm came my way or to my brother. And by the age of 5, my parents got put out the house because my grandparents were no longer here. God bless my grandmother, so she just passed within a few weeks at 94. And they believed in forward progression. They did not believe, especially back at that time in the 80s, okay, they did not believe in just sitting around the house having babies, not making anything of yourself, so they put them out. And I remember that drive from Southfield, Michigan to Mississippi. I believe that was the first time I had been in a car that long that I can remember. And I did something that a child would do without any frequent stops to the restroom. I used the restroom on myself, okay? And it was the worst kind of way to use the restroom on yourself at 5 years old. And by the time we made it to the house, I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe I just did that. And so my dad was like, what is that? And, of course, we found out that happened. I was ashamed. I remember feeling so scared. I didn't know what was going to happen because I had never seen him react like that. And he was a young father, so this is not to beat up my father. But once we got into the house where we were going, I got a whooping, but it was different. He was hitting me so hard, like my breath was going away, and it was just like I knew something was dreadfully wrong. Well, it wasn't long before that into being punched in the face, hit and beat about my body with objects like boards and brooms and cold irons, like an iron that you would actually iron your clothes with would be pressed up on your head. He would try to squeeze it as if he was trying to pop a pimple with the iron pressed up against your head. Like it was just so much abuse. not just physically, but psychologically, emotionally. And over time, I wound up going to school. I would wear black eyes and busted lips, and my eardrum would be busted from being punched in the face and slapped about the head, to where pus would be draining down the side of my ear. And it'll land on my shirt, and the stains would still be there as I'm going through school. And it was just, I was picked on, I was talked about, I was bullied. I didn't have enough clothes to make it through my third day of the first of the year of school. So by the first week on Wednesday, I was already rotating clothes because I didn't have like 2 or 3 outfits to wear for the entire year. So not only was I getting abused at home on the daily, I went to school and got bullied and talked about, segregated, abandoned, and before long, Child Protective Detective Services were brought into the picture, and my brother and I, my brother's 2 years younger than me, we were placed into shelters, and that's pretty much the holding place until they find a foster care open availability to put you in. And so that started a cycle. And so my brother and I, we would go from the shelter to a foster care home, and then something would happen in the foster care home. We had one person, I remember her name was Miss Hattie Hawk, and she had a farm. And the funny thing about that farm was she also had pigs. And she would go to the grocery store, and she would get the old and tainted and throw away food from the grocery store, things that the grocery store was throwing away. It's like, this is trash. She said, I'm going to feed my hogs with this trash. And so it would be ruined food that was literally molded, right? And they would just dump it all in a pile in a barrel, and she put that barrel on the back of the truck, and we're on the back of the truck just sitting there. You know, back then, they didn't get on you too bad about riding on the back of a truck, especially. And we would ride that truck all the way back to that farm. And I remember the first time that we got off that truck, she unloaded that barrel, and she said, okay, now dig in. Get your food out of here. I was like, what? We had to eat the hog slop. We had to pick out what food we could eat out of the mush and the mold, and we had to go around and find. It was so disgusting, you know. So you mean to tell me we went from being abused at home to going into foster care, and now we're eating hog slop, things that would make your stomach turn. And I would go on and on and on. My story is it has so many levels. But to wrap it up really quick, if I can do that, we went from home to home. By the age of 12, I attempted suicide because I got a beating so bad that it just really shook my world. You know, my dad was literally stomping on me, like with his foot in my stomach, kicking me on the ground. I'm balled up. I will never forget that day. That was one of my lowest lows in life. But in that same day, I was so low and so broken. I remember at my lowest point, even after I took a handful of pills at the age of 12, there was a bright light that came on the right side, and it just gave me this peace that I just really didn't understand. And it said, everything is going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Just hold on. And I felt secure in that, even though I didn't know what that hold on meant. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, I just got to hold on until I make it out of high school. And when I go to college, that's it. I'm going to go to college, and I'm never looking back. And throughout all of those years, Melissa, my dad would just beat us for senseless things. We're not moving fast enough. Bring your head here. Boom, punch you right there in your face like you a boxer in the ring. You know, you feeling the impact. I used to brace myself for the pain of my dad's blow every single day. And so what that did, that caused a reaction in me. And I would always flinch because I knew if I was within arm reach of my father, he was getting ready to punch me for whatever. It was like he just had to release that energy. This is not to talk bad about my dad. Of course, he was in a bad place. He was a young father. He was 19, you know, not excusing it, but my story is my story. And I would flinch all the time. And it just got so bad that even when my mom divorced my dad, I didn't know that was getting ready to happen by the age of 13. So we separated, and we went our way, and my dad went his way. But even though we were separated, Melissa, I would still flinch. I would flinch if you was a stranger beside me reaching for milk in a grocery store. I was so used to getting hit, I would flinch everywhere. I would be in the classroom. A person would reach for their utensils in front of me. I would flinch. I was afraid. It was almost as if I had PTSD. And that went on for years. I was so embarrassed. It went on for years. And I was like, oh, my God, why can't I stop flinching? It was devastating. And before long, as I grew and I matured and God allowed me to be in alignment with things I needed to hear, a person I needed to be in contact with, a message I needed to hear from church, it all played a factor in me growing and developing into the person I am today. Once I began to let go and forgive and work on myself and not take the words that my father told me at a young age, my father would look me in the face, look me in my eyes, and I was a child, and he would say things to me like, you are dumb, you're stupid, and you're not going to be anything when you get older. I believe that about myself. I took those words, I digested it, and it went and infiltrated my DNA, and that's who I became. But it wasn't until I started to grow and develop and God allowed me to cross paths with great people and hear things I needed to hear. It was the journey. And I learned I needed to let go. I need to change the way I think. I'm not what my dad or anybody else told me I was. It wasn't only my father who was an abuser at the time. It was also people in foster care. Oh, that girl, she ain't going to be nothing. I had my own family, my own aunt. You're going to be pregnant by the time you're 15. So with all of this in play, my youth has so many layers. But I'm glad to be here today to just turn it all around and to let people know that there is hope. It doesn't matter what you went through, what nobody said about you. It's up to you to decide who you want to be. What they did to you, yeah, it probably hurt. It probably shook your world. It was devastating. But if you're still here, that means you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. You can turn your pain into your passion. And that's why I'm so excited to be the author of No More Flinching. God really directed my words, my thoughts, and that book is really just a quick memoir. It's just a quick powwow. And so the next book I'm getting ready to publish is also going to be amazing. So I'm just excited to share because I'm fully walking in my purpose at this moment in time, and I'm happy to be sharing with you right now today, Melissa. Thank you.
Wow, Carlotta, your story touches so many different areas. But one of the things that really jumps out to me as I continue to hear your story is, first of all, you hear me talk often about the power of the mind and the power of your thinking, because your journey could have been totally different if you would have consumed all you went through and your thinking did not change. So it was your mind that got you through a lot of things, and that's what comes to me. Another thing that came to me as you was talking is I know you have heard people say, and I've said it many times myself, is it does not matter where you start. That doesn't determine your destiny. And your story definitely shows that it didn't matter how horrible it was. Your beginning was very horrible. But because you changed your mindset and you grabbed hold of your mindset and what you can be, you're where you are today. And I think that's the story that anybody that hears your story and hears your journey can grasp hold on. Is no matter where I am right now, I can make it. I can make it through as long as I change my mindset and surround myself with people that mean me good and trust God. And I heard all of that in your story. But let me talk a little bit how did you end up becoming, I know you were in law enforcement for 15 years. How do you think being in law enforcement changed your past and your experiences and prepared you for where you are now?
Well, that is a really great question. I never really grew up thinking I would be in that part of law enforcement. I had dreams and aspirations of being an FBI agent. And when I got older, I went through a process where I was a professional quitter. Like I could literally take the stage and get an award for being a quitter. So it was a period in my youth that I was just searching for anything that I could grab a hold to, and I was trying to identify with myself, like, who am I? What is my purpose? What job do I need to have? So late teens, early 20s, I was all over the place. I quit about 30 different jobs. But between the 3 days to 3 weeks, I was out of there, walking out. I don't care what it was, what was the pay. I had some really great opportunities. I just threw it away. And I felt like it did not connect with who I was. And I was searching, and I was like, what do I need to do? I remember applying for the police department that I worked at, starting out, and the Nissan plant at the time. And I got hired with both opportunities. And so this was around the age of 23. And at that time, I had a decision to make. I was like, do I want to go into, working at a plant, like I'm a robot being on a line, or do I want to go out and make a difference in the world? What made that decision easy for me is because I am the oldest of 4 children. All right, I'm used to being the one who has to take responsibility for everything in the house. This is something I've never shared before, and I'm going to share it right here today on your platform, Melissa, is that I almost forgot that this was the case, but not only did I get whoopings for things that didn't even matter, things I didn't even do wrong, or not even that, just for anything. I also got beat really bad. If any of my siblings did anything wrong, like if they stole something, if they told a lie, it could have nothing to do with me. Anytime any one of my siblings got a whooping or a beating, guess what? I got called in and I got a beating as well, just because I was the oldest. So I got really good at watching over my siblings, almost like I was their mother figure, and being sure that they stay out of trouble. So I'm looking to make sure. I'm not even being a child anymore. I'm being a whole adult at this time, trying to cover myself to not get beat extra for their mistakes. So I took that concept, and when it came to making a decision about law enforcement, I said, okay, I would rather go this path because I know what it's like to encourage others to not do the wrong thing and to be that person that's in the middle, to maintain peace and to look out for people. I do that. That's kind of like in my DNA. So that was the first job that I had that I did not quit. Actually, when I first started law enforcement, I thought that I would be in law enforcement forever. I started out as a police officer. Within 3.5 years, I advanced to the rank of a child protection detective. Now, just pause right there. Go figure how I was that child that was being abused in and out of foster care, and God turned that thing all the way around, and now there I was in 2008, a child protection detective, being the very detective that investigates cases where children are abused, sexually assaulted, things of that nature. And I did that extremely well. And I don't think it was just because I had something I had to prove, I was abused when I was a child. It was nothing like that. It was like, okay, I got this. I'm passionate about this. Let's go forth. I solved some really high-profile cases, okay? And within 2 years of being a child protection detective and gaining all of that knowledge and experience and doing exceedingly well, in trial and everything like that, I then was asked to join the ranks of robbery homicide, which is like really like, okay, standing ovation time. Like, wow. Like, we're talking about going into the elite of investigations. Of course, I was nervous, but I did it scared. Even though I really love child protection, okay, I went on and became that's down the line, robbery homicide detective. Oh, my gosh, okay. It was different for me, seeing death all around me, the murders and the suicides and all of that. But I still was passionate about finding who the person was that caused this family pain. Because even though that person is gone, now the family has to deal with it. And so I thrived in that. And I learned a lot in that. And it wasn't long before I joined the ranks, and I left the city, and I went through an entire different process, another academy with the federal government, and I became a federal police officer. And that was kind of real slow pace. I went from being like 30 to 40 different caseloads at a time, solving cases, high crime, high profile, murder every single day, almost every other day, to just almost like a standstill. And I did that for a few years. I loved my experience with the federal government, and I learned a lot. But it just came a point where I was like, you know what? It touched my spirit that God would frequently remind me that, hey, listen, Carlotta, I did not put you on this earth for you to just have this little career and you just, check off this little box and say, I'm just a detective or I'm a federal officer. There was more to my story. There was more to me, more to my purpose than just that. So I don't know if I'm getting ahead of you, Melissa, but in 2018, I made a huge decision. I took the biggest leap of my life. I did something that everybody would say, don't do it yet. No, you don't have enough money saved. You got to have all of these things checked off before you make the leap. And would you believe, in 2018, April, Friday the 13th, I turned in a 2 weeks notice and walked away from the federal government, not because anything was going on, not because of any type of, troubles or write-up, never been written up throughout my whole entire career, never had any issues like that. I just walked away from a job, freed myself, and gave myself permission to move forward, start writing my book. Yeah, I said start writing. No, I didn't even have the book published at that time. I began writing after I turned in my 2 weeks notice.
Wow, Carlotta, one of the things, I'm going to pause right here just a moment for those that are joining us late. I want them to know that you're listening to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, and today we're talking to Carlotta Taylor, the best-selling author and certified speaker and leadership coach. Carlotta is sharing her journey, so much of her journey with us today, which is an amazing journey as you continue to move forward with your life, making huge decisions that, again, I would say, would make plenty of people stop in their tracks. But you kept pushing through. I also noticed, Carlotta, something about you and something you said either in your social media post or maybe I heard you say this, but you said, I know that putting people, if you're not serving others or you're not setting others in a position to win, then you are not a leader. And it is important to you to serve others. I remember you saying that. How important is that to you?
Well, to me, it's of utmost importance because I firmly believe that our purpose and everybody's purpose is not the same. Like, everybody doesn't need to turn in a 2 weeks notice and go write a book and go be a speaker and impact the world like that. But I feel like it's so important because you have to tap into your purpose. I spend a lot of time with the elderly. One of my closest friends is 70 years old, okay? So I love listening to the stories and to the insight and to the wisdom. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that most people in their last moments of their life, is that their last breath, their last days, when they're asked important questions like, what would you tell people? Like, what kind of advice would you give? I even asked this of my grandfather, like, what would you tell people about how to do life? What is your feedback? What is your overall take? And you can even research this information, but most people would say they regret the chances they never took. They regret never really going for it. What's that for it? That calling that's inside each and every one of you. That we would do this for years. We would ignore that calling and put it to the side. We'll continue to do that because I did it for years, okay? And I didn't want to be that person. Later in life, in my 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, yeah, I kept going. I didn't want to be that person in my 90s saying, oh, my gosh, what was I thinking? Man, I wanted to really go for it. I wanted to see if I could make it. I never went for it. That's what makes life sad. So I said I would rather go for it all right now. I'd rather operate in my purpose. I'd rather be a light that helps light others' candles. It's so important to me because if it was not meant for us to work together and to encourage another person and put other people in position where they can win, then to me that's not a meaningful life because I'm just taking up space in my mind. And that's what it is for me. That might be a little heavy for a lot of people. But I feel like we're all here to add value to each other and to rise together and to grow together. Even though everybody can't go on the same level at the same pace with you, but as you go through your journey, there's people already there waiting just for you because they get it. They know. They understand. So you got to get there. You got to go to it. You deserve it. You know, that's the life that we all deserve, is to walk in our purpose and to help other people along the way. You would truly be happy because what I'm realizing is we cannot take any of these material things with us. And at the end of the day also, your legacy will go on. People will remember how you helped them and how you made them feel, and they will go out and impact the world in a greater way as well. So it really matters to me. It really matters to me a lot. And
absolutely, I definitely agree with you.
Yes.
Right. I definitely agree with you, Carlotta. One of the things I always say is that if you want to achieve your dreams, help someone else achieve their dreams. And when you look at life that way, you're always helping people and you're always achieving what you want as well. And you make people feel better about themselves, and that's something that you definitely do. I did have a question, though, about your businesses. I know you're doing a number of things. You have your book, No More Flinching. You have your organization, Somebody Step In, and you're doing a lot of other things. In 2020, we were all dealing with COVID-19. How was your business impacted with COVID-19, and how did you handle those challenges?
Well, I'm really, really blessed to say, even in the midst of the pandemic, I actually I made the most money I've ever made in my entire life. My business took off by storm, and I contribute that. One, I'm grateful to God for allowing me to be able to, first of all, seek for better. What you are seeking is seeking you, and I'm a firm believer that you should seek first. And when you're seeking for something, you are going to find the answer. Seeking, you shall find. It's not seeking, you might find. Seeking, it depends on what the weather's like, Seeking, you will find. I was seeking an opportunity where I could become more fit and join a movement of people who cared about their health and wellness. And I was also seeking income, but I really needed a change within. And I was also seeking to be partnered with the CBD industry. And I got everything I needed or was looking for in the business that I'm in right now, which is one of the businesses, is Total Life Changes. And that, I've met so many amazing people. I've been around multimillionaires and been in some really, really small circles, elevated extremely fast. I've learned a lot. 2020 taught me a lot. It taught me not to listen, not to look around, not to get caught up in the chatter of people around you, but to really channel inward and know who you are, know what you want, don't get off track, stay focused. And with that, 2020 literally has been one of the best years of my life. And I did not mean to take away from anyone who's experienced loss or grief. Well, I've experienced loss too, right? But, due to COVID and the sickness and the losses of people who've lost their family, my heart does go out to you all. But as for me, with the growth and the business have taken off, it's really connecting people all over the world. I'm able to have conversations and help people in Africa and in Canada and Switzerland. I have people on my team in Switzerland, So this whole going global, helping people from your cell phone, being able to just tap in. All you need is a cell phone and Wi-Fi. And we're able to help people with their health and wellness, right, and help people earn income in their sleep.
Wow, Carlotta, thank you so much for giving us your time today. Your story has impacted all of us to the core. It is a perfect example of starting in one place, refusing to take no for an answer, moving forward, even though you didn't have it all figured out, and continuing what you just said about this year. You even pivoted again this year, so you continue to move, and it's such an inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure you leave your contact information with our audience so that they'll know how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So it's a number of ways you can contact me, and one is by texting Carlotta, which is CARLOTTA to 888-111. That's one of the best ways to get in contact with me. I'm going to say it one more time, text Carlotta to 888-111. Now, the next way to get in contact with me is you can also visit my website, www.carlottataylor.com. Once again, that's www.carlottataylor.com. And I have a business line. I want to make sure you can hear me if I do go to that number. And so that number, for any booking, consultation, I do one-on-one coaching. I'm available as a keynote speaker. You can also book me by texting or calling 832-492-2259.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to say thank you to our guests today, and thank you to our audience for tuning in today's edition of Dream by Design. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa. Enjoy your day.